Thanks for coming into our conference tonight. I know that you're really busy and have a lot going on, so I appreciate your time. We are going to be using Words Their Way this year for reading, writing, and spelling, and so I wanted to give you an overview of the kind of fundamentals of Words Their Way so that you would understand why we're doing what we're doing this year and how you can support your child at home. So I know that your son is in 3rd grade, but I'd like to start from the very beginning so you have a good understanding of the stages and the building blocks that he's gained up to this point. So stop me if you have any questions while we're talking. And this is a chart that kind of shows what I'm going to talk through, so I'll give you a copy of this to take home as well. Orthography is knowledge of spelling and an understanding that there's a certain sequence of letters in words. So there are 3 building blocks for orthography, so I'm going to explain those first before we get to the stages. The first building block is alphabet and sound, which is just an understanding that there is a sound that corresponds with each letter. And when you put those together, that's how we form words. So for instance, in the word sat, you have 3 letters and 3 different sounds. So S-A-T, at. When you put those together, it makes the word sat. So that's a very important principle for students to understand. And most words can be read from left to right, and each letter can be sounded out to read a word. But not all words are like that, which brings us to the building block of the pattern, which just describes that there are certain groups of letters that form patterns for how to spell and read words. For instance, the word tape, T-A-P-E, the last E is silent, but that's a clue that the A is a long A. So that is sort of a pattern of spelling that students understand in order to spell that word. The last building block is meaning, and there are certain letters that stand for certain things. So we have prefixes, suffixes, Greek and Latin root words that whenever you see those letters grouped together form or stand for something. So for instance, when you see the prefix re, R-E before words, you always know what that's going to mean. So for instance, the word review, when you see R-E at the beginning, you know that it means you're going to view something again. So these are the 3 building blocks of orthography, and I'm going to outline the stages now. So do you have any questions before we move on? Okay, great. Well, stop me if you do while we're talking. The first stage of reading and writing is emergent, and students are usually from ages 2 to 5 in this stage, and they've usually had little to no formal instruction. So when they're reading and writing, they are usually just pretending. So scribbling, doodling, there's no rhyme or reason for what they're doing. They're usually just emulating maybe what they've seen a parent or another adult in their life doing. And so that's sort of where we're going to start. Now when we move into the beginning stages of reading and writing, students oftentimes read aloud because they need to hear themselves sound out each letter while they're reading, and it's usually very choppy. They're using their finger to sort of guide them, and the writing style is very similar. It's very choppy. It's just word by word. They're not thinking of sentences or paragraphs to write about. They're focusing on one word at a time. And in the writing stage, as you can see right here, the spelling style that matches that is the letter name alphabetic, which letter name is the key words in this stage, and the names of the letters cue students as to the sounds that go with those letters. So if they want to use the sound, then they're going to select the letter S to write down. Now in this stage, they learn to break apart words into specific sounds by letters. Next, we move into the transitional stage of reading, which is where your son is right now, and he is starting to become more fluent in his reading and writing, which means that it's automatic, it's not choppy, that he's understanding when you see certain punctuation that you might need to pause there. He's starting to incorporate more expression and tone in his reading, and it's definitely more enjoyable to listen to. Now, the writing is the same way. It's very smooth. There's starting to be more organization. He's using paragraphs, and it's not run-on sentences. It's not sentences that just flow through the whole page without any pause or organization. The spelling style that goes with that stage is within word pattern, and the students in this stage have an automatic knowledge of letter sounds, both consonants and vowel sounds, and so they can spell a lot of words, and they're starting to be able to spell words that have more than one syllable. Now, we move into the intermediate and advanced stages of reading and writing, and students in this stage read fluently with expression. They're able to read and write for a variety of purposes. They move away from just writing stories, and they can write lists, they can write to persuade, they can write compare and contrast, and their vocabulary in these stages really grows, and they learn to use that in their writing as well. There's a lot of expression and tone in what they write, and so there's two remaining spelling stages. The first is syllables and affixes, and in this stage, students are able to spell words with more than one syllable, and they're starting to understand spelling patterns and how to use the meaning block of orthography that we talked about at the beginning. Lastly is the derivational relations writing stage. This is the last stage. And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that in the syllables and affixes stage, this is the stage that your son will probably be in about a year, and this is in upper elementary to middle school. And the last stage is middle school to high school. And this is where students begin to understand base words and how words can be formed from those base words, how to make and develop more words. Their vocabulary is definitely expanding as they're acquiring new words through reading, and they're able to do word studies to compare and contrast words, and that really helps them expand and build their vocabulary. So those are the reading, writing, and spelling stages as a whole, and I think you understand now where your son is in sort of the middle, and where we're going to be going this year and in the remaining years ahead. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email or call, and we can talk further about this. Thanks.